I don't like that. I do not like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like it. There we go. Now we'll see what's going on. Oh, hello. I started 5 minutes late because I was trying to figure something out. Now, it's doing what I thought it was supposed to be doing. So, good morning. Wasted 5 minutes trying to figure something out. And I don't know why I'm doing the thing that I'm doing. The thing I was trying to do is recording the screen so that when people chat, it shows up. But you need to start that before you actually broadcast, I guess. Or you have to broadcast and then record the screen. Yeah. That's very frustrating and annoying. But technology, man, you gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So good morning. It's too early. Let's see. What happened yesterday? So yesterday I had a job interview. Didn't go very well, but that's because they wanted a person. It was a kind of job interview where I had, if I had, they wanted someone who was like already a complete master of all the things required. And I told them right, not long into the interview, I was like, wait a minute, like, I'm not gonna lie and say that I can do this because it was intense. Like, I'd been exposed to that job but they wanted someone who was going to be like, 10th level Jedi master at it, rather than a guy who was like, I've seen it all, done it all, we can all grow it together. I'm more, the guy appreciated my honesty, but I was just like, hey man, if you want this to happen, it's not going to happen with me. But, some people would be like, just, lie. No, this would have been a disaster if I had not been honest. But hope prevails. But then after that, I got to fixing my mom's laptop. And my mom, in August, if you didn't see the Instagram post, had her MacBook Air from early 2014 crap out on her. And it just wouldn't turn on. And I took it to the Apple Genius store here in Brooklyn, and they told me that it was $1,000. No. Basically, it's one of those, like, you can fix this 4-year-old computer. Who knows what else will go wrong next? Or, and that's $500. Or you can do a new computer for $1,000 or $1,100, whatever. And we'd already determined that we were probably going to get a new computer just because fixing old computers, or especially laptops, is onerous. But I took it in, I looked at it, they said $500, and I was like, no. Okay, so we got the new computer, but I kept the old one, and I was like, I'm gonna just try to fix it. Why not? As a side project. So I bought a logic board off eBay, because they told me that it was most likely a logic board. And I did that whole deal. But the thing is, so I got that, and then I sat on it like for multiple months, just because I was just like, I need the time and the space to sort of get in the right. It has to be the right window of opportunity to do this. Just because that's just how my brain works. Like, I can't just be like, I got everything, let's just do it. Like, I needed that space to operate in my own, whatever it is, whatever weird void I need to have do work in. So I sat in there yesterday, and I got out my other laptop, and I went to iFixit. And over the holidays, I received as a gift the iFixit computer repair, tool set. So which is like all these like super weird shaped screws, because like the bottom of the computer is held on with these like pentagonal screws, and then the rest of them are all these hexagonal screws, and like star-shaped screws, or all these proprietary screws to keep you from taking it apart. So I took the computer apart. I had a few moments where I was like, I should have been. It had buckets, like there were like little buckets for all the screws and stuff, but I didn't. What did I do? Oh, I didn't like label them when I should have been more thoughtfully labeling them, because at a certain point I was kind of like, what is this bucket of screws? Which part is it supposed to hold in? Now, I'll say taking it apart, stressful, just because there's so many like warnings at iFixit that are like, oh, by the way, don't pull this cable in this direction, or you destroy the computer. So, but I will also say, so the iFixit has the basic instructions for how to do it, and then there are comments, and I think the comments should not be optional. I think the comments should be visible 100% of the time, because just being able to like, some of the comments on those instructions saved me huge nightmarish steps. Not nightmarish, but like just taking things apart even more than they needed to. So a lot of the things were like, oh, steps 9 through 16 are unnecessary. Like, just be careful with the cables. You don't need to unscrew this whole input-output board. Just leave it there. It's not necessary. So I was just like, phew, skip those steps. And the iFixit tools came in handy. I confess, like, a lot of the times I have to wear like double glasses, because they're just magnifiers, they're not actually prescription glasses. But I had to wear double just to like see the writing on the actual tools, because it's so tiny, and to like see what the head of the tool looked like, because some of the tools you just cannot tell what it's supposed to be. But yeah, it was something to say the least. So yeah, then I finally replaced the logic board, and it was one of the really sucky parts was that the instructions tell you to take off the heatsink from the previous logic board. Now the heatsink on a MacBook Air is really like just a series of like not very thick copper or aluminum metal strips that are like on the thing, and they really want you to clean it off and then clean off all the thing. But the motherboard, or the logic board that I got for this repair, it had the motherboard already on it, or the heatsink already on it. So I was just like, holy shit. Like, I wasted an hour looking for like rubbing alcohol in the apartment, and I was getting all like super mad about it. And then it turned out I didn't even need to take it off, because it was fine. So that was an interesting thing for me. Now it's one of the fascinating things for me was seeing the this whole idea of the heatsink comes off of the processor chip and kind of snakes over, and it just has this little like tiny honeycomb, and then the little tiny fan connects right to that honeycomb and blows air through it to help dissipate the heat. It's just like, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty interesting idea for heat dissipation. Now, like, pardon me, the PC that I turned into a Mac in my apartment, the heatsink for that is like a giant aluminum cube with a fan on top of the cube, and it's like, of course, a blown up version of the other thing, but it's just like, it's kind of crazy to think about. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it, and then as I said in my Instagram post, when that light came on, when the screen lit first of all, and then I saw the Apple logo on my mom's old laptop, I was like, holy shit. Yes, because there's fewer things more deflating than like turning on, doing a whole computer project and then being like, I got 30 more steps and I don't even know if this shit's gonna work. You put it back together and you're like, oh my God. And some of the cables, it was like super impossible to tell if you actually reconnected them properly. Bye Ace is going to school. Yeah, so it was like, exciting. And then, my main goal was, once I got it, to save all my mom's old pictures and the documents she had on there, snoop around, find the will, rewrite the will, normal stuff when you're doing computer recovery. And then after that, I was so excited, but I also had I had this Jekyll and Hyde kind of day where I was super happy that I fixed this computer, but then super bummed that the job interview didn't go well, and it felt shitty. But what are you gonna do? What else has been going on? Oh, I was gonna say earlier that I don't know if you noticed, or if you listened to the last episode of Lou Reads at loureads.com, that I did this whole thing with I did a whole episode about people who like the smell and visual of armpits. Discuss. Oh, no discussing? Okay, well, it's a weird fetish. Fetish. What are you going to do? It's weird, right? By definition. Or out of the mainstream. No judgments, other than the fact that, I did laugh a lot when I was recording it. Just because so many people beyond the pale being like, oh my God, these armpits, fantastic. I love the smell of rank armpit. No one should wash their armpits. Good for you. Oh, hello. I'm sitting in my car, and that I'm forced to sit in, Zachary, to avoid getting a parking ticket. Every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesdays, I sit in the car and I chat while I kill time, because the city of New York mandates that I sit in my car. Normally, my car would be over there. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, normally my car would be on the other side of the street, but on Tuesdays I have to move it to this side of the street in order to avoid getting a ticket. And because the space is so precious for parking spots in my neighborhood, I have to be in here for an hour and a half. Now, I only make people watch me for 25 minutes, because that's the last 25 minutes of my misery. But normally I'm in the car for an hour and a half because of how insane this neighborhood is. Yes, I am in New York City, in Brooklyn Heights, Brooklyn. Some say the original suburb of New York City. All the tawny names of the famous people of New York moved to New York, to Brooklyn Heights, when it first became a cool place to be. You got Henry Ward Beecher. You got the other people whose names I don't remember. Ah, you're in Australia. Ah, that is not someplace I've been. Many members of my family have been there. Or Austria. Are you in Austria? Austria. I forget which Aus that might be. But Australia, okay, good. Phew. Yeah, I forget why my cousins went down there. I have cousins around the globe who are more globally travel-y than me. Although I really wanted, when I worked at Riot Games, there was an Australian office, and we had talked about having a show there, and I was really excited about going, but then they canceled the show because it was too expensive and they didn't do any planning. So it was exciting times to have that canceled and then have to hustle up to have it happen in New York or Los Angeles. But yeah, so that's why I'm here, hanging out in my car, being fascinating and whatnot. I was just talking about how I rebuilt a MacBook Air yesterday. It was exciting. Because if I don't sit in my car, thank you for asking, if I don't sit in the car, if I just move it to one side of the street and get out before 8 o'clock in the morning here, I run the risk of getting a $60 ticket and having my car towed. And for the past, I don't know, I've been doing it for way too long. I have avoided getting a ticket, and then 2 weeks ago, I forgot entirely. Just had a complete brain fart that I had to move my car, and when the time I remembered, which was 10 minutes late, my car had been towed, and I had a $60 ticket, and the tow fee was like $185. So I had to go, like, to the tow lot, which is, I take a car there. So that was like $20 to go there, and then I had to pay $185 to get my car out of the tow lot, and then I had to pay the ticket, which was $60. So it's a ton of money for the privilege to have a car in New York City. Now, this area that I'm in, as I've mentioned in other broadcasts, has an unusual thing. A lot of places will just be like, you'd have to move your car to one side of the street for an hour, and the whole idea is that they come with a street sweeper and they clean that side of the street, and then you move back. So you only have to sit in your car for an hour and a half, but it's in the middle of the day. So if I wasn't unemployed, I would, have to find a different parking spot. But these few blocks that I live on, you move it to one side all day, and then at the end of the day, you move it back, and then you move it back for similarly. I have to sit in the car because, again, somehow there's enough people in this neighborhood who come here an hour and a half early to move their cars back. I mean, I don't even understand it. Now, I should switch to the Wednesday streets, because for some reason the Tuesday streets are super competitive. Like, it's parked up like well in advance. Wednesdays, people are just sort of like, move the car. You see people moving the car like almost all the way up to the time limit, and then even moving back, it's not like a high pressure situation. But we can't afford to have it in a garage, which is always a common question. But that's how it goes here in New York. I do a lot of Alicia Keys impersonations. Not at all. But so just chilling out in my car, hoping people will chat with me. It's a weird endeavor, but it sometimes pays off. And I have been doing it on Facebook for a long time, but I thought I would move it to Twitch, where more people can actually chat, and it won't just be the small group of people who I call my friends. Ever dwindling. But it's weird, and many places have a street sweeping or street cleaning schedule, but this neighborhood just has the wackest one possible. Super lame, but what are you gonna do? It's the way the stupid city works. And the whole thing is outdated. I mean, I think it really kind of went into effect in the 70s, I think, when the city was actually super gross and dirty. I don't think the city's not that super gross and dirty anymore. Do we need to move it once a week? When I moved back to the city in 1996, you had to move it twice a week, and it was like, what? And that was before cell phones, and people would like get out of their cars and you had to leave your pager number in the window. I mean, that's depressing to think about. Because if you didn't, multiple times, I'd go move my car, leave my pager number, and then, I don't know, take a shower, go get something to eat, and then forget my pager, and then have people, like, as they say, blowing up my pager, being like, where the fuck are you? I need to get out. But who are these people who need to get their car out in the middle of the day? It's a mystery. A total mystery. But what are you going to do? What was the other interesting thing that happened yesterday? After I fixed my mother's MacBook Air, I installed a new graphics card in my Hackintosh. And so I did that because the onboard chip on the motherboard I have just wasn't cutting it for certain graphics things that I wanted to do with my video editing. And I also, on the PC side of the Hackintosh, I had tried playing League of Legends on the motherboard chip, and it was like playing it through Venetian blinds or something. It was just like, and the screen was just not having it. So I bought this AMD video card because AMD cards, for some reason, are more compatible with Hackintosh builds, and works great. I didn't even have to do any weird shit. When you have like a hacked Mac running on PC software, PC hardware, it sometimes you gotta scour the internet for weird K-texts and other weird computer stuff that I barely comprehend to make it run right. But yeah, in the weird way that Apple works, AMD makes drivers for macOS Mojave that they allow, or NVIDIA cards aren't allowing them, and so it wasn't very expensive, and I upgraded my shiz, and then I booted into the Windows side and played a game of League of Legends, an ARAM as Gragas, and I had like an insane Gragas game, which was it was a rewarding feeling. I don't play League of Legends like I used to when I worked at Riot, but just the ability to hop on in and play some Gragas and making plays, whatnot, felt good. Yeah, that was part of the reason I was up too late. Getting my standard, not enough sleep. But yeah, now I'm hoping that video editing will be that much better with this new graphics card, because yeah, there was some serious sucky action going on. Now the next thing I need to do is buy a better SSD card for the inside of that PC, so that I can actually do video editing without having to have a giant stack of fucked up old USB hard drives. Good morning. How are you this morning? My time in the car is almost over. Just hanging out here, killing time, waiting until officially my time is over a few moments ago. But I'm just enjoying the chit chat. Sadly, it's only one way. Now that is a bummer about on Facebook. If you were watching, I could bring you in to the call. That's a thing that I don't believe I can do with the Twitch app. At least not. I'm recording on my phone. That's all right. Oh, that person just got in their car. See, that's sad. It's a bummer to get your car at almost 8 o'clock and try to find a parking spot now. Not happening. Yeah, but I appreciate you tuning in. I missed the first 5 minutes of it trying to use this screen recording software that was built into the iPhone, apparently, because I thought you could broadcast from the screen recording option, but you can't. So I recorded 5 minutes of myself talking to myself. But it was before I was really awake, so you guys didn't miss anything. You guys didn't miss nothing. Of course, you can always tune back in at 5:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States, as I will be back in the car on that side of the street complaining about it again. Everybody loves to hear complaining. And, I mean, I'm pretty good at it. The only enemy of my complaining, pedantry. Anybody, people have too many opinions, or too many. They like correcting me. They don't let me wallow. I guess I should appreciate that. All right. Well, I was gonna draw today because I'm gonna be recording a new episode today of Lou Reads the Internet for You. I was gonna draw the cover of that in the car, but I didn't, because it was too GD cold in this car. It is 36 degrees Fahrenheit and that is a bummer. I don't know what that equals Celsius. Probably a single-digit number. Yeah, new episode. I know. I'm terrible about it. I feel like the podcast would be much better or more popular if I did more episodes per month. But similarly, I think I would have burnt out of trying to find interesting things to read. Because certainly the internet is full of weird things to read all the time, but finding them and hoping that they're interesting enough to hold your attention is a whole different story. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Alternate Side Parking. Tune in at 5-ish. Stay tuned to the social media to see when I'm going to go live. I will be in the move back on that side of the street shortly. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll be here, but I'll be on this street, but approximately about right by that lamppost, maybe. We'll see. See you guys later. Now, how do I turn this off now that this... Oh, I have to turn the screen recording off. Is that it? Yeah. Now I can turn it off. I have no idea if this even worked. Although people were talking, so that is a good indicator. Now you can see all my blemishes and old man waddle. Gobble gobble. See you later. Yeah, turn it off, dum-dum. Is it still recording? Oh, boy. Go away. Why would you still record? Yeah.